Mark Castellano was one of the prime suspects in the case of the disappearance of Michelle Barner, but the police needed more evidence to charge him. Today we go to the interrogation room of the Michelle Barner case to see if the detective succeeds in making the main suspect in this case confess slow.
You're not under arrest.
Right.
You're not in custody. You're
Right.
free to leave. So just want to make sure we're clear on that. Again, I appreciate you coming in. And
Yes, sir.
I can imagine you're probably getting tired of telling the story over and over and over again. But I would kind of like to start when you first met Michelle, because I know there's a lot of history there. Right.
Mark Castellano is currently being questioned by the Houston Police Department. The reason for his questioning is the case of the disappearance of his ex-girlfriend Michelle Barner. Michelle met Mark when they both worked at a medical company. Michelle was recently divorced and she had a child. After a year of relationship with Mark, she becomes pregnant with her second child. After the birth of their child, when Michelle is employed in a law firm, she asks Mark to end their relationship, but Michelle tells Mark that if he likes, he can be with them, move to their new apartment and help him raise the child, but he tells her that we can live together but not as husband and wife anymore and only for their son as his parents. Mark accepts this offer. On September 24th, Michelle does not go to work and her boss calls her repeatedly. Michael, Michelle's ex-husband and first husband, calls his brother and says that Michelle has not come to take their daughter with her. David means brother. Michelle calls him, but he can't talk to her. David calls Mark and asks if he knows where Michelle is. Mark tells him that we had a fight on the night of September 22nd and she left the house. He says that what worries me is that Michelle didn't take her car, she didn't come to see Caden, their son, or take her with her, and I don't know where he is. Michelle had officially disappeared, and the police opened up to this case. On September 25th, the police went to Michelle's house and checked there. During the inspection and visit, there was no trace of Michelle. During the inspection, the police noticed that the hard drive of Michelle's computer was not there, but there was no evidence that anything had happened to Michelle. The police find a note that Mark had pasted on the bathroom mirror for Michelle, which read, "Caden and I left. I left this apartment for you and took the car. I know you can't pay for the apartment, but I also gave $3,000 to my father. I'm in debt, but I know you have a rich dad and you can fix the house and pay for it. You can see Caden whenever you want, but I know you're busy having fun on the weekend. Since your grandmother called me and said you didn't answer her, I understood that you turned off your phone again. Without a doubt, when you come back, I will definitely take you and test you." Now Mark is trying to make Michelle look like a nervous person.
When she gets mad, she's violent. She'll hit you. She thinks she has the right to. She's a pretty girl and she gets everything she wants. She has that princess attitude.
Wow. Is she using any kind of drugs at that time that you're aware of? Has she introduced that into the relationship yet?
Adderall.
Which is treating her for what?
ADHD.
Okay.
And hydrocodone, 10/325. Getting to know me, she said, "Well, you were in a car accident. You could go get some for me." It gets pretty bad for a great while. The pill demand, work. Starting to notice that I'm changing. She's having me do a lot of things. Hey, we have an extra computer. Take one from the company. I need one for my brother, or hey, I need you to get me something like this.
So she's basically asking you to steal now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And of course I do it.
Okay.
I did it.
Well, you're invested in this relationship.
Right. She pretty much at this point owns me.
Mark created an elaborate story to portray himself as a helpless victim in this relationship. Despite the detective's doubts about Mark's stories, the detective pretends to sympathize with him during the interview. This is the only way they can get a confession from him.
Let's get to last Saturday, the 22nd.
Okay. As soon as I open the door, it's like a battle zone. I said something about you take too many pills, you can't watch Caden or something. I said, and she said, "Well, when are you sorry?" Walked up to me and just hit me like that.
Now, are you standing? Where
I'm like this. There's a desk right here. I'm on like this, picking up stuff.
Are you in the living room?
I'm in the living room. There's those two spots on the
computer desk.
By the computer desk, there's a hallway, and right there by the leg, I'm over there reaching, picking up stuff. And by that time I turn, I see her come up, and then when she comes up close to me, and I see her arms moving up my hair like that, she hits me like that,
up underneath you.
Yeah, like that. It wasn't.
Now,
she walks out, slams the door to her room, and about 10, 15 minutes later, I open the door to say, "Well, you know what?" And she's gone. Well, he's in his room hiding.
So you think that what Michelle's been screaming
like this, get on my knees,
go ahead,
and he's sitting there and shake his little hand, and she's sitting there grabbing him, and don't you ever, and you're gonna turn out to be a sorry piece of crap like your daddy, you sorry mother, little. And at that point, I came over to her and pushed her like that. She caught herself, and I said, "Get up, don't do that anymore."
With the trust established, the detective makes Mark feel comfortable and removes any sense of threat. Now the detective changes his tactics and threatens Mark to hurt Michelle, but he expresses it in a way that works to justify Mark for protecting his son. This makes it easier for Mark to confess because he believes he did the right thing and did not act out of evil or selfish motives.
My heart goes out to you, man, because what you have put up with for 3 years of your little boy's life, I very much appreciate and understand your feelings about your son.
Right.
I have a son. He's 27 years old now, so I get it. It is about Caden. So whatever did happen in the apartment between you and Michelle, that's resulted in her now disappearing. We'll use that word for lack of a better term.
Right.
It's my impression that what that was about, what that argument was about, what that confrontation was about last weekend, it wasn't about you wanting to hurt Michelle. It was about your love for Caden. And it was about your burden.
Right, yeah.
About protecting Caden.
Right, because he wasn't being taken care of.
Exactly.
The detective skillfully uses a psychological technique called the good choice and bad choice method. This method makes Mark face only two options and is forced to make a decision. On the one hand, there is a good choice, unwavering love. He makes a bad choice to his son Caden, and on the other hand, there is a bad choice that he intends to harm Michelle. Mark plans to tell a story that shows him in the most innocent way possible. This technique is based on Mark's natural desire to protect. He uses his own innocence and increases his chances of confessing.
Whatever happened between you and Michelle, in the course of her cursing at you, slapping you in the face, hitting you while you're on your knees on the ground, picking up stuff that she has directed you to do, that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And now Mark is in protective mode for Caden. This is not happening anymore. Michelle is not going to harm my son anymore, either emotionally or physically or verbally or in any way, shape, or form, and I am going to have to resolve the problem now. This is the opportunity to talk about all those things, because you've told me. You've already told me. You've laid the groundwork for what happened in that apartment, and I'm on board with you. This isn't about trying to make Mark look like a bad guy. I'm telling you, I could not. I'm listening to your story, man, and I almost want to cry for you. I just can't imagine the stress and the pressure put on you because of the love you have for Caden when you watch this woman continually berate him and treat him so terribly, because she's doing the same thing to you that she's doing to a 3-year-old, and you're an adult.
Now, Mark is in a situation where he has two choices: to confess or not to talk and ask for a lawyer.
We both know. Michelle did not walk out of that apartment. She did not walk out of that apartment. We both know it. We both know the circumstances under which whatever did happen, happened. I'm not wanting you to explain to me that you wanted to hurt Michelle. I want you to explain to me what you felt like you had to do to protect Kate. So I want you to be honest with me and tell me what happened.
She got up, and I got up, and she's getting dressed, and she's finishing up, and she's still yelling, and Caden's hiding. I grabbed her and I broke her neck. Told her I was sorry, and that she was going to control me the rest of my life. And I grabbed her by her neck, and and just went threw her on the bed. And
So she's facing you.
yeah, and I heard it pop, and then her tongue popped out, and that was it. I mean, I sit there and held it, and by the time I realized what I did, she was dead.
Look at me, Mom. Look at me.
I'm sorry. Give me the death penalty, that's fine.
Look,
I deserve it.
Look, I'm proud of you.
I deserve it.
Your life's not over with, Mark.
Police obtain surveillance footage from outside the apartment. He is seen in the early hours of Monday, September 24th at 3:21 a.m. Mark is dragging a large box to Michelle's car. At 5:41 a.m., he multiple times. He went back and forth to the car. He left at 6 a.m. The police search the area around Mark's house and find some items in the trash. They found Mark's business card, sunglasses, and Michelle's credit card that had been cut up. Bodo clothes and also a pack of black tape are found. During Mark's sentencing phase, his lawyer argues that his case was motivated by emotion. Emotion can be used as a mitigating factor in Texas, but it cannot be used as a defense. Let's use murder. Jurors had to decide whether Mark was so frightened or enraged that any reasonable person in a similar situation and of ordinary temperament would have been able to maintain composure. If Mark was successful in this argument, it would mean that the manslaughter sentence would have been reduced from about 30 years to 2 years or less. The jury was not convinced that Mark's case was a case of impulsiveness. He was sentenced to 28 years in prison and he will be eligible for parole in 2026. Thank you for being with me until the end of this video. If you are interested in criminal videos and unsolved criminal cases and this style of videos, please subscribe to the channel and set the bell to all. Waiting for your likes and comments about this case.